I'm at Union Station in Washington, D.C. The Beatles arrived here on February 11th, 1964 at 3:10 in the afternoon. They were met by Harry Lynn, the concert promoter, because Harry was bringing them to Washington, D.C. for their first concert, their first full concert in the United States, 2 days after the Ed Sullivan Show. From here, they went over to the Washington Coliseum and set up their equipment, which is about 3 blocks behind the station. We're going to get a better look at the building. Let's take a walk. Over my left shoulder, you can see the rounded roof of the Washington Coliseum. It was built back in 1941. It was called the U-Line Arena. Right now, the building is a deserted hulk. There's nothing inside. It's used as a parking garage. It had been used as a transfer station for trash in 2006. The Historic Preservation Board designated this building for preservation. It cannot be torn down. It's going to become a monument and it will be rehabbed in time. In the background behind me is the U.S. Capitol building. The Beatles stopped here because they wanted to take a photograph with the U.S. Capitol in the background. They did this after the sound check. From here they went to the Shoreham Hotel where they changed, and then they went back to the Washington Coliseum for the concert that evening. This is where they stayed. They took over the entire 7th floor, but not until one family had to move out. Everybody vacated except for this family, so the hotel shut off the power, shut off the water and the heat. They told the family that there was a power failure when they vacated their room and the Beatles were finally able to move in. This parking lot is next to the front entrance to the Washington Coliseum. The Beatles came over here that afternoon for their sound check, and before going in for the sound check, they had a snowball fight. Photographers, the media, everybody enjoyed it. It was fun. The snowfall was a big event for the Beatles. They didn't see much snow back in England. They had a great time. When they got done here, they went over to the Shoreham Hotel. This is the main entrance to the Washington Coliseum. 46 years ago, when the Beatles performed here, above this main entrance was a marquee, and it said, "The Beatles tonight sold out." 8,092 kids, screaming kids, bought tickets. Harry Lynn, the promoter, put an ad in the paper about a month before the concert. All he did was put one ad in the paper, and in just a couple of days, the concert sold out. Now back then there was no Ticketmaster or electronic ticket sales. So for 1964, tickets went rather quickly. Now I want you to come inside the Coliseum. You'll get to see what it looks like, and I want you to meet a friend of mine. There's nothing inside this building. Almost all of the seats have been removed. The roof constantly leaks, the concrete is crumbling. It's dark in here, electricity is scarce, and there was a time when black Americans weren't even allowed inside. But over the years, things have changed. And the structure has seen a lot of activity. Shortly after D-Day, this building housed soldiers who were passing through D.C. In 1949, the NBA Finals were played here, and in 1953, Eisenhower danced at his inaugural ball. In May of 1971, this building was used to hold 12,000 people who were arrested for protesting the Vietnam War. But nothing ever exceeded the excitement of this building on the night of February 11, 1964. While the Beatles were here for their afternoon sound check, Marguerite Oswald, the mother of Lee Harvey Oswald, was only a few blocks away explaining to the Warren Commission why her son was not President Kennedy's murderer. But that night, John Lynn was here to see the Beatles. His father was Harry Lynn, who produced the concert. John was only 12 years old at the time. The next day was Abraham Lincoln's birthday, and in 1964 that was a national holiday, so John didn't have to go to school. His father gave him several tickets so that he could bring his classmates with him. But John's father wouldn't let them sit directly in front of the stage because Harry was certain that a riot was going to erupt. So he gave the boys front row seats, but he made them move off to the side of the stage. To quell the riot that he expected, Harry Lynn hired 362 policemen. The Caravels opened the show and sang "You Don't Have to Be a Baby to Cry." Tommy Rowe sang "She Laughed after that, and then the Chiffons sang He's So Fine and One Fine Day. But at 8:30, Beatles took the stage, which was a boxing ring set up in the center of the building with the ropes removed. The Beatles sang 12 songs, and they opened this concert as they did all of their concerts in the U.S. over the next 3 years with a Chuck Berry song, and they closed every one of those concerts with Long Tall Sally. When they began singing, they faced the east wall. George sang lead on the opening song, Roll Over Beethoven, but his mic didn't work very well and he couldn't be heard. That was followed by From Me to You, and I saw her standing there. Then the Beatles turned around and faced the west wall, and they sang This Boy, All My Lovin', and Ringo sang lead on I Want to Be Your Man. Then they turned around again and faced the other wall, singing Please Please Me, Till There Was You, and She Loves You. And finally they turned to face the north wall, and they sang I Want to Hold Your Hand, Twist and Shout, and they closed with Long Tall Sally. Douglas Development is the owner of the building today. They plan to turn this building into a condition that will be better than when it was brand new. That tells me that there has to be at least one more great concert in this building's future.